Hello all, my name is Jennifer German. I'm a NASA JPL Solar System Ambassador, which you all know by now if you have been following along this Train Like an Astronaut at Home series. We are on session 3, Nutrition. So, a few things to get now. Actually, only 2 things to get right now. We don't need as much as we've needed the last 2 sessions. So, first, either get your mission journal, or just a piece of paper to write on or draw on, and of course something to write with. While you're grabbing those things, if you don't already have them, I'm just going to proceed with the introduction. As usual, you can bring your mobile device with you or your laptop while you grab these things. Children, you can have your adult get these things for you, or you can step away while I do this introduction and not listen. But of course, I would prefer that you listen. I've been running this Train Like an Astronaut at Home series at 3 levels. Today, it's probably not going to come into play too much other than just the normal children or even adults and teens drawing pictures instead of words. Although adults and teens, I am expecting, again, both words and pictures. Older children can choose, younger children also, and you don't have to journal at all. There is one activity today, though, that does require writing down things you have eaten. Oh, and as always, you can pause the video anytime you need to if you need more time and you're watching this later instead of live. All right, let's get started. Nutrition. Nutrition is very important for astronauts, for athletes, for regular people. But, of course, we're focused on astronauts. So, let's learn what astronauts eat. Got a couple videos here today, and I've tested this time to make sure that you will be able to hear the videos I learned from yesterday's session. Okay. What do you eat in space?
What we eat in space is very similar to what we have down here on Earth. In fact, we have a nutrition lab that does a great job of putting together a very healthy, nutritious menu for us with a lot of variety. And so sometimes I think I may actually eat better while I'm up on space than when I'm down here on Earth.
My name is Monica Leong. I'm a research scientist here at NASA's Space Food Systems Laboratory. The American food system has about 203 food items on the menu. We try to give them foods that are familiar to what they would have.
I'm going to pause right here for a second just to say when she says the American food system, that is the food that NASA sends up for its astronauts. Russia sends food up for its astronauts, and some of the other countries who send up astronauts either use the American system or the Russian system, or might even send up a few food items of their own for the reason she's saying here.
Here on Earth, so we make them mac and cheese, we make them beef brisket. They get all sorts of stuff to make them feel comfortable, because when you're in space and you're in a confined area with only 5 other people, you might miss home a little bit. So we try to make it as comfortable as possible with food.
How much water do you drink in space?
So how much water do I drink in space? Well, I don't know yet. I do know that down here on Earth, I drink a lot of water. In fact, I always have my water bottle with me, and so I'm constantly drinking water. And I'm anticipating that that'll be the same up on orbit, but obviously it can be a little bit different. And I won't have my water bottle. I'll have my little water bag with me when I'm floating around, but I do anticipate drinking lots of water while I'm on orbit as well.
They are allowed about 2 liters of water a day for drinking. They are also allowed about 500 milliliters of water for rehydration of the freeze-dried food products. We also expect that they get some water from the thermal stabilized products, just to make sure they have a good, healthy nutrition. Designing the menus for the astronauts in space, we have a dietitian on staff who makes sure that it's well balanced for all the vitamins and nutrients that they need. They also eat about 3,000 calories a day, more or less, depends on each astronaut.
That's a lot.
But they're given a menu, a standard menu to guide them. They don't have to stick with it, but we've set up food pantry style, so they go in and just take what they want for the day. This is an example of what a Thanksgiving dinner might look like on the International Space Station. So here we have some smoked turkey, and it's actually an irradiated product that is produced for us by the military. We have cornbread dressing, which is a freeze-dried item, and it looks like this at first. But once it's rehydrated, it looks just like normal cornbread dressing. Likewise, we have the green beans with mushrooms, which looks like this in its pouch, and then when you add water to it, it looks a lot like that. Here we have candied yams, which is a thermal stabilized product. So it comes in a pouch like this, and they just heat it up and put it right in the plate. Okay. Here we have mashed potatoes, which is very similar to the green beans and cornbread dressing, where it's freeze-dried, and you just add water, heat it up, and it's ready. We also have apple cider here, so this is what their beverages look like in space. For dessert, we have apples with spice. Also a thermal stabilized product, comes in a pouch, just heat it up and serve. And another option for dessert would be the cran apple dessert product.
Nice. Let's see if we can get to the screen. So, we just heard a bunch of words about the kinds of food in space. I'm going to explain some of them for those of us like me who didn't really know before I started this what they were. So, an irradiated product. She talked about the meat. NASA astronauts eat meat that has been sterilized by irradiation to avoid getting foodborne illnesses when they're flying in space. NASA actually goes to great lengths to keep astronauts healthy, to keep them from getting sick even before they launch. They go into quarantine for 2 weeks to make sure that they're not exposed and to find out if they have anything already that they might end up getting sick with. Better to do it here on Earth than in space. So food irradiation is a technology that improves the safety of the food and extends its shelf life by reducing or eliminating microorganisms and insects. So microorganisms like the stuff in our microbial box, we will check that out on Science Day. Food irradiation is for meat, and it is like pasteurization of milk and dairy products to make them safer, or like canning fruits and vegetables to make them safer for consumption, for eating. So that's what that is. Next up, freeze-dried items. Now this has actually been going on for decades. Most people who know about astronauts and what they eat know about this, that the food is freeze-dried. The point of that means that all the water is taken out, and it tends to shrink and get, there's no moisture at all. So it's dry and the texture can feel wrong for what you're used to. The point of it is that water is very heavy. And so it's a way to conserve weight during launch. Makes it easier to launch the rockets, the astronauts, all the supplies and the food. The less water that's on the rocket, the easier it is. The foods then get rehydrated in outer space by simply adding water to it before they eat it. And I'll show you how that happens later. Thermal stabilized products are foods that aren't meat, that are heat processed to destroy the bad microorganisms and enzymes in them that could maybe make the astronauts sick. So these don't get water removed from them. They simply are heated up before they're put in those little pouches to make them safer. And then the pouch is sealed to keep anything from getting into those foods. And then, as you saw, their beverages are also in pouches. Sometimes they can even have the water removed. So think like a lemonade, where you have your little powder mix and then you'd add it to water later. Teas, that happens. Even coffee, you just have the coffee grinds and then you put water later. All of those things can go up. I don't know if they do, but they could go up with the astronauts without their water and have water added later. Otherwise, the beverages are in pouches. And they drink out of that. So, as part of this lesson, Mission X focuses on the flour tortilla. It is one of the most popular food items on an astronaut's menu because it contains a large amount of carbohydrates, which has energy that the astronauts' bodies need to function. In addition, flour tortillas are easily stored and they don't produce crumbs. You see, they're pretty flat. They already don't have much water in them. But the not making crumbs thing is key. If there are too many crumbs, if there are any crumbs that fly around, there's no gravity. They don't just fall to the floor and can get swept up like here on Earth. They fly around, they can get into the International Space Station's equipment, they can get into the experiments, and can just mess things up. Floating crumbs can even be dangerous if they float into an astronaut's eyes or nose or into their mouth if they're not expecting them. So, flour tortilla and anything like that, very much preferred by NASA for the astronauts. Okay, the next step of this Mission X nutrition is, what do you eat? What do I eat? So what we're going to do is we're going to get our mission journal or our piece of paper and start a new page. And just like always, we're going to write down the date. Check what today's date is. Okay? And what we need to do is write down what you ate yesterday, the whole day. Write down your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, any snacks you had, any desserts you had. Also write down what you drank. This is going to be called yesterday's meal plan. So right under the date, I'm going to write yesterday's. And if you need to spell, yesterday's a big word right there. Yesterday's meal plan. All right, so that's what this entry in my journal is about. Okay, what did I eat for breakfast? I had a bowl of cereal, Cheerios to be specific, plain Cheerios. So that had milk in it. And adults and teens, if you can be, again, specific, I had 1% milk, which is a reduced fat milk. Oh, and I had a banana. Lunch. What I had for lunch? Oh, I had leftover chicken pot pie. So I'm just going to write down chicken pot pie. Oh, and I had water for both breakfast and lunch. Okay, snacks. I had bagel. I had yogurt. To be specific, I had Greek yogurt. I believe it was blueberry. My bagel was plain. What else? Oh, I had peanut butter filled pretzels. Peanut butter filled pretzels. And I had raisins. That was my snack. And again, water, especially with the pretzels. They were very salty. Dinner. Pancakes. My kids asked for pancakes. So I had pancakes. We had syrup on the pancakes. Again, water to drink. And then dessert was ice cream. Ice cream. Strawberry, to be specific. Okay, was that everything? I had gum. Technically that has calories, so I should write that down. And the kid had eggs with their pancakes and syrup, but I didn't have any, so I'm not writing that down for me. So that's everything. Wow. My yesterday's meal plan filled up my page. So that's what I got. Okay. So if I wanted, I could label which ones were breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. But for right now, I'm going to move on, so we're not taking up too much time on this video. Now, let's learn about how astronauts eat. We know some about what they eat and what it looks like. Let's see how they eat in outer space with no gravity.
Hello, and welcome to the International Space Station. My name is Scott Tingle. Here on the space station, we live in a microgravity environment, which makes eating here a very unique experience. To stay healthy, we have to maintain a nutritious diet, just like we would back on Earth. Let's go take a look at some of our food and drinks and check out our meal preparation area. During long-duration spaceflight, we have to make sure that we receive enough energy, proteins, and vitamins. Our food lab back on Earth makes sure we get plenty of each as they carefully prepare, test, and package everything. We combine all of this excellent nutrition with exercise to ensure our bodies stay healthy and strong while we're here. We eat 3 square meals a day, just like we do on Earth, maybe throw in a snack or 2. One of my most favorite foods to eat are natural raisins. Here on Space Station, we have to keep our calories up if we want to get all our work done. And the carbohydrates in these raisins really help. And they're kind of fun to eat, too.
Looks like tossing food into your mouth is a little different.
And how do we stay hydrated in microgravity? With these special pouches. They're filled with water, and we use a straw that has a one-way valve that prevents water from floating out of the pouch while we're not drinking from it. Here's a liquid drink. This is a tropical punch for today. I love drinking fluids on station.
That looks like a fun way to drink.
Here on station, we have a pretty cool food preparation area. We have a place to get fresh water for us to drink or to put in our rehydratable foods. And we also have an oven to put food in. We pick out some of our favorite foods. Chicken fajita for me. Put it in the oven. Close the door and turn it on. In about 15 minutes, I'm gonna have a warm meal. Thanks for exploring a little nutrition with me. I'm gonna send you back to Earth so you can create your very own astronaut menus. See you again soon.
It looks kind of like fun, doesn't it? Not the easiest to eat up there, but definitely looks like it could be fun. But they do have to be careful, the liquids also. The reason that the valves are one way and so it can't come out without them forcing it is the same thing about being careful about crumbs. Because as you can see, the liquid doesn't fall to the floor, and those little bubble drops can just float around and get into things, and that could cause problems. All right, so Mission X, Nutrition, wants you to learn about the food plate. Now, for those of us who are older and have learned about nutrition, we would have been taught the food pyramid for many, many years, and we might have seen different versions of it. In 2015, the food pyramid was replaced with the so-called food plate. And online, if you want, you can go look up Choose My Plate and get a lot more information about this than I'm going to give you right now. But this is what it looks like for the most part. And we have all the same familiar food groups: dairy, which I think used to be called just milk, but this now includes, of course, cheese and yogurt. Anything made from milk also is all considered dairy. Fruits, self-explanatory. Grains, proteins, which used to be meat and then was meat, eggs, and nuts, and now they just call it protein, but it is still meats, eggs, and nuts. Vegetables, of course. And then oils is not a food group, but getting healthy oils in your diet is very important, so it tends to be called out. Also not a food group, but tends to be called out a lot, is water. Very important to have water in your diet, or at least liquids that don't have calories. So here's the food plate again. As you can see, it has half the plate is fruits and vegetables. The recommendation is that for every meal, half your plate is fruits and vegetables. The other half, grains, proteins, maybe some dairy, but if you're having dairy, small serving. And grains should definitely be bigger, more than the protein. And then your drink, water preferably, but any non-calorie drink is pretty fine. Just a note, I came across while researching this, the ADA also says that you need to be aware of the size of your plate when trying to model after this image. So, I was going to bring examples, but I don't have. But, don't be using a food platter or even a 10-inch plate. You should be using a more normal 8 or 9-inch plate, like the kinds that we give to our kids, is right about that size. I'm not talking about baby plates or anything, but normal, smaller size plate. Okay, so let's check ourselves against what we've just learned. We'll go back and look at your yesterday meal plan. Here's mine. And we need to put each food we ate or drank into one of the food groups, or mark it as other. So I'm gonna put the food groups back up here, and we're gonna go through together. So Cheerios. Plain Cheerios are a grain. Milk is dairy. Banana is a fruit. And you can do this with your own, you should do this with your own yesterday meal plan also. If my talking is bothering you, I apologize. Okay, water, not in the food group, we don't need to mark it. Chicken pot pie. So I put this down because I ate it, but I think it's a really good example because this is a blended food, right? The crust is a grain. The chicken is a protein. My chicken pot pie had carrot bits, corn kernels, and peas in it. Those are all vegetables. Sounds really great so far, right? Then there was also the sauce that the chicken and the vegetables were all in. That was okay, probably not the healthiest thing, but with chicken and vegetables, pretty healthy. But if we go back to that crust, while it was a grain, the crust was actually very fatty. So not like Cheerios that are a grain that are very much more healthy. So anyways, my chicken pot pie, I'm actually going to mark down grain, protein, veggies, and other, because that crust kind of fell into both. A little too much fat, but also a grain. Bagel, plain bagel was a grain. Not bad. Yogurt, dairy. My yogurt did have blueberries in it, but not enough to be counted as a fruit. So just dairy. Peanut butter filled pretzels. Now peanuts and peanut butter are considered protein. They're actually considered a good protein. There are other nuts that are more healthy. Actually, I apologize, I take that back. Peanuts are not nuts. Should not equate them. Peanuts are legumes. Legumes are healthy for you. Nuts are healthy for you. There are things in every category that are more healthy than others. But anyways, peanut butter is protein. The pretzels are a grain, but they were covered with salt, which is an other. Salt is sodium, and while we need a little bit of it in our diets, it's very easy to get too much sodium or salt in your diet. So I'm putting down other for that. Raisins are fruit. Pancakes by themselves plain, grain, no problem with that. Syrup. Syrup is just complete sugar. That's another. Water. Ice cream. Okay, here's another really good example. Ice cream is clearly a dairy, but it's dairy with a whole lot of sugar added to it. So if I were going to put it in a food group, I probably would have to put it in both, dairy and other. And then gum, while very small and probably doesn't add up too much to anything, is still an other. But it doesn't really count against anything either. I believe my gum is 5 calories. Which does remind me. So this Mission X lesson has a part of it about calories and learning about calories that are energy, carbohydrates, fats, and sugars, and also about how to calculate the energy each of those calories produce and how to calculate how much calories an individual person needs. We're not doing that today. I felt like that was just a little too advanced for what I'm trying to do with Train Like an Astronaut here at home. But it is important stuff to learn. I also didn't want to take too long today on this presentation. Okay, I have categorized my food from yesterday. If you need some more time to do that for you, then please pause the video, or after this is done, come back if you're watching live and do it and then come back and check again. I'm going to move on right now. Okay. So now looking at your yesterday's meal plan and you've categorized it. Do you believe you made good food choices? What are some healthy food choices you made? And these are things you should write down in your mission journal if you're keeping one. So, yesterday, while I was eating, I definitely thought I was making good food choices. Looking back at it today, I still think I did pretty well. So, healthy foods, let's see, I had banana. That's really healthy. Milk, I only had enough for my cereal, so I didn't have too much dairy in that meal. Raisins, peanut butter, bagel, the chicken pot pie filling was really, Cheerios. I think I did really well, actually. Although I'm looking at this, and if I look back at this plate, I'm noticing that I did not eat many vegetables at all. I only had vegetables at dinner. That's not what's recommended. But I had fruit all the time in every meal, so that was good. Let's see, I had grains at every meal, right? Yeah, so I did very well with that too. I only had protein. No, I had protein in one snack, and I had protein at lunch. So not quite as much as recommended. However, for that snack, I had a lot of protein. So I probably overate at that, which would count towards one of my other meals. I had water all throughout the day. I did very well with that. Dairy, keeping dairy to a minimum. I guess not as much. I had a yogurt, which is a small serving, but next to a bagel, so that was just grain and a dairy. Yeah. One thing I'd like to point out is trying to do this food plate at every meal and at every snack is probably not realistic. What you need to try to do is think of this over the whole day. That's why we're looking at the meal plan for the entire day and not individual meals and snacks. You want to do this balance over the day. So over the day, I did very well balancing grains, dairy, fruits, and maybe even protein. I did not with my vegetables. So that's something I need to work on. And I did very well with my non-calorie drinks. Okay, so when you're looking at yours and thinking back and looking at that picture, actually, it might be good to draw that picture in your mission journal, just to help, so you don't have to keep looking at this video. And I didn't draw it very well, but as we said, it's a whole lot easier sometimes to draw than to try and write everything out and explain it. So I am going to do fruits, veggies, grains, and protein. So next to my yesterday meal plan, I put the recommended food plate. That makes it easier if you want to write the food groups in your journal too, so that you can then use that list to help. You can do that too. However it works for you. Okay, a couple other questions to check ourselves. Why is it important to eat nutritious foods? Now, I didn't go into a whole lot of that today in the following the Mission X thing. In fact, I forgot back when we were talking about tortillas, I was supposed to show you also a nutrition label. So this is a way to help figure out how good or nutritious a food is for you. There's lots of information on here. And the biggest thing, again, is calories. Again, something we aren't really covering, but you need to be aware of. An important thing to note is also serving size. So here's an exercise for you that I did a while back. Get your cereals, if you have more than one cereal box, and look at the serving size. I was surprised to find out that some cereals are 1 cup serving, some cereals are 3/4 of 1 cup for a serving, and some cereals are 1 1/4 cup for a serving. And what I noticed, I can't say that this is scientifically based or definitely, but at least among the cereals I buy, the cereals that have higher sugar content have a 3/4 serving size. So that makes them look like on their nutrition label, they look better than they are if you actually compared a 1 cup serving size of them to another cereal that is a 1 cup serving size. So even though the point is, even though nutrition labels tell us things about the foods, very important things, we need to be careful and look at everything and realize that they might be doing some math tricks to make themselves look better. Okay. Last question. If you were to become an astronaut and go into space, would you need a balanced diet? Of course, the answer is yes. I think this question is more about, would you need your current diet balanced to be more nutritious, or are you already doing a pretty good job? I can't answer that for you. Okay, lastly for today, we are going to exercise just a little bit, We're going to do our bear walk and our crab walk, like I said we do every session. So I'm going to get my timer on my phone. I did not say you needed that, and you don't. I just want to be able to compare. Here's my stopwatch. Okay, you ready? Let's do our bear walk first. And I still, just like before, I've got my 30 feet, well, 15. I'm going to do it twice. So it's the same. Every time I do this, it's the same. All right. Bear walk. Hands and feet face down. Let's go. Turn here so I can get my full 30 feet. You keep it the same as every other time. All right. And of course, record in your mission journal if you're doing that. Today's date. Once again, you think I could just look back at the previous page. And I'm going to say bear walk. And I'm going to write down again 30 feet every time. Always write down all your data. That way you can see that it's the same as before. Oh, and then, what was it? I think it was about 10.5 seconds. Okay, crab walk. Well, actually, let me not write down 30 feet yet. Let's see if I make it. Okay. Crab walk again, hands and feet, but this time backside down, front side up. You've got to get your backside off the ground and go. I'm trying to go faster like I can with the bear walk, but I just can't. All right, get here and turn around and come on back. Although I am noticing that I am not winded today. And done. All right. 19 seconds. Okay, crab walk. I made it. 30 feet. Took me 19 seconds. Again, longer than the bear walk. But if I look back, oh yeah, both of them. So yesterday, my bear walk took me 12 seconds and my crab walk took me 21. And today, my bear walk took me 10.5 seconds and my crab walk took me 19. I'm getting better. And you know what? I actually feel fine. I write that down too. I feel fine. I'm not winded. My back feels fine. Definitely different than the last 2 days. You think maybe doing the same exercise every day is actually helping my body get better? Maybe that's the point. That's the end of today's lesson. Thank you for joining me. And I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. Is coordination day. So more exercising, but with a different focus. I hope to see you there. Well, I hope you see me there. Bye.